Welcome to this class. We will start by setting up Photoshop for animation by opening the timeline, choosing the right frame rate, and creating our very first frames. Exciting! So let's go!
Okay, first things first, we need to create a new file, a new document. So let's go to File, hit New. Then we have some options here. I'm going to keep it simple. I want my file to be 1000 pixels wide and 1000 pixels high. I'm going to give it a name. Let's call it the magic box. There you go, magic box. Alright, everything else is fine here. The white background, let's go with it, create. So here we go. The square format is nice for publishing this, say, on social media afterwards if you want to put it on your Instagram or your Facebook. This is a very nice format to share. Also, I intend to make an animation that cycles, so it would be nice to have just something really simple and clear. Next thing is to open the video timeline. So that video timeline is here. Go to Window, down to Timeline, and here you go. This is your video timeline. Now to keep it nice and neat, we can put it down here. There you go, just snap it in. Now it's not actually quite a video timeline yet. You have a choice. You can click on this little arrow down here, and then you got a choice between creating the video timeline or creating the frame animation. Now the frame animation is good for very simple short animations, great for GIFs as well. However, if you want to do something a bit more professional, a bit more complex, the video timeline is way better. You can do so much more with the video timeline. So this is what we're going to have a look at today. So let's go ahead and create a video timeline. Here we go. So what have we got here? We've got a layer here. It's the same layer as the one in the layer panel up there. So you will see exactly the same layers in the timeline that you have in the layer panel. So if you have 10 layers in the layer panel, you'll have 10 layers in the timeline. Now, something that's not very clear at this point is the length of this. This is a timeline, so that means the time is displayed horizontally here. So I'm going to zoom in to see a bit more clearly what's going on. So I have my layer here, layer 0 is set to a duration of 5 seconds, and you can see here it goes all the way to 5 seconds. Now I can change the length of that layer by simply grabbing one of the ends and just moving it around. So let's grab the end here and move it down and say let's shorten it to just 1 second all the way here. Now that's a bit more manageable. Now let's check something else. We have an animation here that's at 30 frames per second. It shows down here. 30 frames per second is a normal frame rate for video. However, when we work with animation, particularly hand-drawn animation, we like to draw fewer drawings. 30 frames per second is a lot of drawings to draw. So with experience, animators have found that 12 frames per second is a good number to work with. So we're going to reduce our frame rate to just 12 frames per second. Let's go here. This is the button right at the right hand side. It's the menu for this new panel. You've got many options here. All I want to do here is click on set timeline frame rate. So you have a choice here of many standard frame rates. As you can see, the 30 frames per second is here. You also got 50, 60, 12. But to be fair, you can actually enter any number you want. But 12 is a good one. So let's go with 12. Let's zoom in a little bit more again. So this little blue dot here is the playhead. So if I move this along, it shows different position on the timeline. So right now nothing is happening because it's just a blank white layer. So the next thing we want to do is now to create frames. So let's just create a couple of frames and see how that works. So I'm going to just create a new layer. I'm going to call this layer layer 1, just 1, like that. There you go. Now by default this layer is really long, So I find that way too long. I would like to cut it down. So I could just move my playhead a little bit to whichever position I want, but I'll just move it by 1 frame. And I will use this tool here. This is the scissors, and it can cut my layer in two. So because it cuts it in two, it creates 2 layers now. And I will just get rid of, I could get rid of the second layer, but I will keep it to create my second frame. So I move my playhead forward again, and I cut this new layer again. And now I've got these 2 small layers that I can use as frames. I'm going to I'm going to create a third one. Choose this again, I cut it, and then I will eventually get rid of the last bit. So I have now these 3 frames. All I need to do now is to draw something different on each of these frames, and I will have a very basic animation. So let's go to the number 1 and just draw, for the sake of example, let's just draw a number 1. There you go. Then let's go to the next frame, select the layer, and draw number 2. Then I go to the next one. Don't forget to select the layer before you draw on it. And here I will draw a number 3. Now if I just scroll through, you can see how this now animating. So this is it. This is an animation in Photoshop. Isn't that great? So now if I can just play it by clicking here on this play button. So you can see it's playing the first 3 frames nicely, and then it just shows white for the rest of the second. So I can change the work area. I can change where the animation starts and when it ends by simply moving the work area. And this is this top gray line here. I can just move the end or move the beginning. So I'll keep the beginning where it is, and I move that end handle just after the last frame, and then if I hit play, they just cycle through. So this is it. This is how we create, in the most simple way, some frames inside the video timeline.